And I speak as someone who is very much an environmentalist. I believe in building a sustainable future for the world. I think that there are very few people who, as an individual, who have done more than I have to help the environment. But there is an aspect of the environmental movement that I think has gone too far.
Really? Said from you?
Yes, I think I am objectively one of the world's leading environmentalists. So I feel I can say, as an environmentalist, that the environmentalist movement has gone too far. And in that, in the natural extension of the environmentalist movement, if you go too far, you start to look at humanity as a bad thing. You start to look at humanity as though we are a plague on the surface of the earth, as though humanity is a bad thing. And in fact, there are some people who think and say explicitly that, in fact, there was on the front page of the New York Times, there was a guy who said, there are 8 billion people on Earth. It would be better if there were none, which is crazy.
Definitely.
So,
you told me once a joke about the cows and the problem with the cows. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, don't worry about the cows. The cows are fine. Cows are not going to destroy the environment. Cows are fine. Yes. Farming and cows do not have any meaningful effect on the environment.
Yes. Underline, please.
Yes. Objectively, this is true. So if you say, like, there's really only one thing that matters from an environmental standpoint for carbon, which is that we are taking billions, eventually trillions of tons of carbon from very deep under the earth and transferring it to the atmosphere and oceans. That's actually really all that matters, is taking vast amounts of carbon from underground where it's buried and moving it into the atmosphere by burning it. And if you do that for long enough, eventually you will get to climate change. Now, I think the climate change alarm is somewhat overblown in the short term. It's still a concern in the long term, but I think it's exaggerated in the short term.
Great.
Now, I'm trying to thread the needle here between what is pragmatic and what is sensible, what really matters and what doesn't matter. What really matters is that over the long term, over the course of the next several decades, that we gradually reduce how many millions and billions of tons of carbon that we move from underground and to the atmosphere, because we're running sort of a climate experiment that is dangerous. But I also don't think I think of it as a fundamental civilizational risk. It's not going to destroy life on Earth, it's not going to destroy humanity, but it will create hardship if you change the climate over many decades. So I think my message is, like, I think much more pragmatic and I think correct and sensible. So I think if we just, without getting too worried about it, seek to have a sustainable energy future gradually, then that's what will happen. Some of the environmentalist movement is part of what is causing people to lose hope in the future. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we should have hope in the future. We should be excited about the future. I'm very pro-human, I'm very pro-civilization. I'm in favor of humanity and our collective consciousness expanding on Earth and going beyond Earth, and being a multi-planet species, a space-faring civilization, and being out there among the stars and finding out the nature of the universe, like all the things that seems like to me an exciting thing, something you can get really excited about. You have to say, what excites you about the future? What moves your heart about the future? What makes you say, like, yes, I'm glad about what will happen in the future? That's what we must focus on. Let us explore this wondrous creation and have a good time doing it. That's my philosophy.
Let me